Hey everyone, this is episode 4 of Rage Against the Wage with your boy Chris the Creative. I'm back here again for today's topic. Is college worth it? So, first thing I want to talk about is how I was indoctrinated to think college was the only way. So growing up, we all went to school. I did well in school, and my parents saw that, and they were like, I don't care what you're doing, you're going to college. They gave me no other choice. They just wanted me to go to college, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to college. I wasn't introduced to any other, trade or any other mentor that could have told me, hey, maybe you should try starting a business, or maybe you should try getting a certificate in something, or maybe you should go to community college first and then go to a 4-year. No, I just went straight to a 4-year institution because that was the way I was raised and programmed. And so I got there, just like every college freshman, you flounder around for a little bit, trying to figure out life, trying to figure out, okay, what am I supposed to be doing? It's like the major I'm majoring in, do I even want to do this for the rest of my life? How am I supposed to know this at 18? So I went to school, I changed majors, but it was all within the same field. And I went through school, struggled a lot. College is no joke. And then I get towards the end of college and I'm like, well, what job do I want to do? Nothing really interested me, but I just kept on plowing through school. So I went to go get my graduate degree. And that was one of the most eye-opening experiences of my life. I would not recommend going to grad school. But from there, I just kind of, after finishing grad school, I still didn't know what I really wanted to do. Went to a job and stayed at that job for 3 years. Really didn't like it. And then I transferred to the job I'm at now. And it still doesn't, inspire me for real. If I had to be honest with you, it's, I still consider it wage slavery. I feel like, I have no control over my time in my life. So with all this being said, I still pose the question, is college worth it? So let's go into an article just talking about just the debt part of college. Here's the first article about the average student loan debt, and it was written by the Education Data Initiative, and the last update was back in July 10th of 2021. So as we look at this article, the average student loan debt per student is around $36,510. $36,510. And that doesn't even include any kind of interest, because these could be private loans or unsubsidized loans, which occur interest the moment you borrow. Now you have subsidized loans, which, they stay pretty stagnant until 6 months after you graduate with your degree and start working, and then they start accruing interest. So here's another thing. Private student loan debt is $54,921. That's almost $20,000 more for a private education. Now you got to think, is that worth it? I mean, geez, that much more money for a private education. I could see it if it's like, a Stanford or a Harvard or one of the Ivies or something like that. But these other private institutions, I couldn't see it being worth it. And then average $30,000 per borrower for a bachelor's degree. And that only includes the bachelor's degree. A lot of people like to go further, get your master's, get your PhD, MBA, all these different graduate level educations, and you got to pay more money on top of that. So, it's stunning how it's 45 million borrowers and 95% of them still have federal student loan debt. That means only 5% have paid off their student loan debt. 5%? So people are living with this debt the whole time after they get a job. They've been working. I've even heard stories of men who are in their 50s, who are still paying off student loan debt. And unlike regular debt where you can go into bankruptcy and get rid of, student loan debt is going to stay with you until you die. And then it gets carried over until the next, akin. You can't get rid of student loan debt. Even death can't get rid of student loan debt. It's crazy, right? So here's like the average historical federal student loan debt. 2007, right when I started undergrad, it was about $15,000. That's more reasonable. But by the time I finished my graduate level degree, it had risen to $26,000. $26,000, the average debt. And it was the same education, which is crazy. It's just the universities start charging more. Universities are a business, and they make their money. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. So this is why I posed the question: is college even worth it? If you're going into debt, this much in debt, is that degree going to be worth it? Now, let's go into the next article that discusses the pros and cons of college. So we look here in Forbes Advisor, pretty reputable source. Is college worth it? Pros and cons. And so we start looking through the article, and we go here. How much a college degree costs? So, like I said, for private universities, about $54,000. So it's pretty consistent. And then for in-state students, $26,000 for public education. Pretty crazy. And so if you graduate within 4 years, you're gonna owe $107,000, up to $219,000, depending on what type of school you choose. So that $219 private, $107 public. Wow. Yeah, you're gonna have that much debt. You're gonna have 6 figures worth of debt, and you're not even making 6 figures at a job because you don't have one yet. And so 3 reasons why college is worth it. They say, college graduates earn more than non-graduates, which may be true. But, non-graduates don't have debt. And so that's the thing that kind of lead out is like, you're not paying off hundreds of dollars of debt every month, like a car note, pretty much. You're paying off in student loan, plus a car note that you actually have to drive to get to your job, plus rent, plus bills. You got to include all that. And the majority of jobs require a college education, which is true, which I call a college degree a golden ticket. I've said that since I graduated. It's just your golden ticket to get into a job, because most of these corporations only see your degree, which is starting to lax up now over the last few years, especially in the software industries, such as they require more coders because everything's becoming more digital. And college graduates are more likely to have health insurance, which because they get a corporate job more than likely, and they can afford it because they actually, your company's going to help pay for it. But then you're stuck in wage slavery because you're paying off that debt because you have to work at a job. So I don't know. And then now let's get down to the reasons why college isn't worth it. You're likely to graduate with student loan debt. I've said this, for the last 5 minutes of this conversation, that student loan debt is a big thing, and high paying jobs aren't guaranteed. That was another thing. They're not guaranteed. I know a lot of people who got degrees in certain fields and they were expecting to make 6 figures out the gate, and nope, it didn't come to fruition. And so it's not promised, and it can take more than 4 years to graduate. And I see this more often than not because I graduated with an engineering degree, and a lot of people didn't finish in 4 years. I didn't finish in 4 years. I finished in 5 years. But that's because of other things such as co-op experience. Intern co-op experience. You need that to kind of have a stepping stone to get into a good job. So what are the alternatives to college? And I always promote this. Community college, especially if you don't know what you're doing. Community college. Take those first 2 years. Get you an associate's degree. Get you an associate's degree in something that can be beneficial. Maybe you want to be a programmer. Go and get your associate's degree or certificate in computer programming, and you can make average $80,000 a year. Radiology, $80,000 a year. Dental hygienist, $72,000 a year. Registered nurse, $68,000 a year. And you know what? You're not going into debt that much. It's only $3,700 average for in-district community college. You save so much money for those first 2 years rather than going to a 4-year institution. Or you can go into a trade. A lot of people are journeymen that go into trades. They get apprenticeships. Electricians, $56,000. Plumbers, $55,000. Carpenters, $48,000. Mechanics, $42,000. You know what the crazy thing about it is? These are high demand jobs because nobody thinks to do these jobs because think it's beneath them for some reason. But these jobs will guarantee you employment and guarantee you that through any, recession, any kind of, thing that goes on, you're always going to need an electrician. You're always going to need a plumber. You're always going to need a carpenter. You're always going to need a mechanic, because all those things are going to break down. Here's another option: boot camps. You can pay $13,000 and you can come out of that coding boot camp making $67,000. Like I was saying, in software related fields, this is becoming the norm. So instead of spending 4 years getting a software degree, you can spend 14 weeks at a boot camp and then spend that $13,000 and boom, there we go, $67,000 a year. Crazy, right? Crazy. Or you can become an entrepreneur, and that's the one thing I was never taught to do. To be an entrepreneur would have been a great option, but I didn't have many people to look up to give me that guidance. I wish I would have, because I wouldn't have waited so long to try to, start a business. I would have learned quicker. But I'm not complaining, because like I said before, the college degree that I got benefited me so much just from a personal standpoint, with my friends, my networking groups, everything. So in conclusion, is college worth it? In my opinion, it depends. I know a lot of people I've talked to in the last few days about this question. They said, yeah, college was beneficial. It exposed me to a lot of different things I didn't see growing up, or I got to meet friend group that are my family for life, and that's one I really do agree with. But from a financial standpoint, it might not make sense. Most of the majors I agree that going to college for is STEM related: science, technology, engineering, and math. You want these people who are going into these fields to be highly trained, because they're very critical fields for the infrastructure and for the economics of our society, especially for doctors. You don't want your doctors to be, halfway trained and then they go and do surgery on you and you're like, where did you go to school? I went to Hard Knocks of Life University. And then you don't want that. So you want scientists because they're helping discover new cures for diseases that are crippling our society. You need engineers because engineers are problem solvers, and engineers are very versatile. I have friends within the field who've gone into finance, have friends that go into management, go into business, go to be doctors. It's crazy. It's all over the place. So, it's very versatile. And I just would warn people, before you go about going to get a college education, just weigh out the pros and cons. Consider community college, consider getting a trade, especially if you can't afford college. So, on that note, I'd like to thank everybody for listening. Please please subscribe below, and also leave a comment about your college experience and whether you think it's worth it. We'll be back next week with another episode. Thanks to guys for raging and engaging.